Barbara Frietchie. Let's look at some vocabulary development. It's that tan box there, the right side. First word we got is staff. That is not a staff as in like faculty, like staff here at Stewart Middle School. It's not like a staff infection. It is a staff as in a pole. Barbara Frietchie hung the flag from a staff outside her window. Tread. This is as a noun. You can sort of tread all over something as a verb, but in here it's a noun. It means step. The tread, the step of the soldiers was echoed through the town. Rent. You used to be able to rent a video at Blockbuster before it was pointless. You can now rent something via Amazon or something like that, but rent here is a verb as in tore. As in the rifle blast rent a hole in the flag, the pencil rent a hole in my pants. Stirred is a verb for woke up. The old woman stirred Jackson's feelings, woke up Jackson's feelings. And finally, host. Not a host as in like someone who seats you at a restaurant. Not a host as in like a zombie host or a paranormal activity style host that inhabits someone. It's an army. Noun. The rebel host marched into Frederick, Maryland. Here comes that host. It's an army. All right. So, background, literature and social studies. Whoop, yo, Mr. Taylor. Barbara Frietchie is set during the Civil War. In 1862, after defeating Union forces at the Second Battle of Bull Run, Confederate troops moved north into Maryland. Led by Generals Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, the troops marched into the town of Frederick. Lee and his men were expecting a warm welcome, but the people of Frederick were loyal to the Union. Whittier based Barbara Frietchie on these events. Barbara Frietchie by John Greenleaf Whittier. Up from the meadows rich with corn, clear in the cool September morn, the clustered spires of Frederick stand, green walled by the hills of Maryland. Round about them, orchard sweet, apple and peach tree fruited deep, fair as the garden of the Lord, to the eyes of the famished rebel horde. On that pleasant morn of the early fall, when Lee marched over the mountain wall, over the mountains, winding down, horse and foot into Frederick town, 40 flags with their silver stars, 40 flags with their crimson bars, flapped in the morning wind. The sun of noon looked down and saw not one. Up rose old Barbara Frietchie then, bowed with her 80 years and 10, bravest of all in Frederick town. She took up the flag the men hauled down. In her attic window the staff she set, to show that one heart was loyal yet. Up the street came the rebel tread, Stonewall Jackson riding ahead. Page 164, line 25. Under his slouched hat left and right, he glanced, the old flag met his sight. Halt! The dust-brown ranks stood fast. Fire! Out blazed the rifle blast. It shivered the window, pane and sash. It rent the banner with seam and gash. Quick as it fell from the broken staff, Dame Barbara snatched the silken scarf. She leaned far out on the window sill and shook it forth with a royal will. Shoot if you must this old gray head, but spare your country's flag, she said. A shade of sadness, a blush of shame, over the face of the leader came. The nobler nature within him stirred to life at the woman's deed and word. Who touches a hair on yon gray head dies like a dog. March on, he said. All day long through Frederick Street sounded the tread of marching feet. All day long that free flag tossed over the heads of the rebel host. Ever its torn folds rose and fell on the loyal winds that loved it well. And through the hill gap's sunset light shone over it with a warm good night. Barbara Frietchie's work is o'er, and the rebel rides on his raids no more. Honor to her, and let a tear fall for her sake on Stonewall's bier. Over Barbara Frietchie's grave, flag of freedom and union wave. Peace and order and beauty draw round thy symbol of light and law. And ever the stars above look down on thy stars below in Frederick town. One last thing. We got our Meet the Writer, John Greenleaf Whittier, 1807 to 1892. Bro, knock it off. Oh, you're not listening. All right, so, dedicated to freedom. John Greenleaf Whittier, 1807 to 1892, was born and raised on a farm in Haverhill, Massachusetts, where his Quaker family had lived since 1688. Whittier devoted most of his life to the anti-slavery movement. His poems reflect his dedication to freedom and justice and his deep religious faith. Whittier was born in the same year as Henry Wordsworth Longfellow, whose poem Paul Revere's Ride begins on page 629. Like Longfellow, Whittier was one of the hugely popular fireside poets whose works sold the way best-selling novels do today. Popular dude, popular poems, popular today. Hey, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing up on this couch with me? Huh? Oh, just getting comfy, huh? Good dog. You're an all-star.